A regular addition to our show now on our part of our Girls Gone Wild Wednesday. She's always from a different city in a different part of the country, but we're going to be talking psychology of sports every Wednesday, usually at 3:25 with Dr. Leah Lagos. Leah, how are you today?
Hi, Jake and Fletch. How are you?
Good. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, where are you today?
I'm in the middle of a blizzard in New York City.
No.
Yeah, we have about a good 8 inches of snow outside right now, and it keeps coming down.
Are you okay? Are you safe?
Yes, thanks.
All right, so you're settled in a nice hotel, speaking to us in sunny Sarasota, Florida, your hometown. Let's talk.
Oh, fantastic.
Now, you this is your job, is to come up with topic ideas unless we throw something at you. And when we decided to do this segment on a regular basis, I said pick a topic, and you came up with what I think is a great one, because Twitter's become such a big part of a lot of people's lives throughout the world, and specifically athletes are using it. And what is the good and the risks involved with this, and how do you deal with it as a sports psychologist?
You know, Twitter has become an increasingly popular social medium in general, and particularly among athletes, professional athletes who are housed in training camps and hotels for weeks at a time and isolated from their friends and family. Social mediums like Twitter give them a way to connect with the world. Now, the problem with this is there's several problems, and increasingly organizations like the NFL have sent out bans for athletes to use Twitter. The NFL has a specific rule. You can't use Twitter 90 minutes before a game, during the game, or after the game until all of the media interviews have been completed. But there are some other important aspects, and one of the interesting things, a player from the San Diego Chargers just got a $2,500 fine a few months ago because he posted something on Twitter about how bad the food was at training camps, and that's why the Chargers hadn't been to the Super Bowl.
Oh, good grief.
And can you imagine what kind of effect if you aired every personal grievance, or even just a few casual personal grievances, teammates and coaches or teammates and athletic staff on Twitter?
Well, Jake and I were having a little bit of a debate when we were teasing the fact that you were coming up at the end of the show. We were talking earlier, and he and I disagreed on sort of what is behind this Twittering and Twittering things that you would think that these guys would know is just not a bright way to go. And Jake's take on it sort of was, well, maybe they're drunk late at night, or they took a painkiller. There's some sort of substance involved that makes them do things they wouldn't normally do. My take on it was they just are not aware of the repercussions.
They're not savvy.
Either that, or they're just arrogant enough to think that they're untouchable.
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's real natural for anybody to have a need to want to connect with other people. And athletes, particularly professional athletes, are a group who are isolated sometimes from other people. So looking for ways to connect and hear what other people are saying and doing and feeling in touch seems kind of natural, but I think you're very right on in the sense that they're not aware of the risks, the consequences of what Twitter could potentially do. And we talked about one of them being the potential to air personal grievances, and you develop distrust amongst the team. But what about this one? Twitter has no way to check if it's really Eli Manning who's posting the post. It could be Eli Manning's friend. It could be his mother. It could be his arch enemy. And there's no kind of control or check for identity to really know who's posting these tweets.
Oh, that's scary. See, I'm not Twitter savvy at all. The only one I deal with is Facebook, so I wasn't aware. So somebody else could post it, but it could come across that it was Eli.
I didn't know that either, because I have a Twitter account for me that was set up by my production guy, Lenny Lyons, and I don't use it because I don't want to get too neurotic and get caught up in it. But I had no idea that somebody can do that and put it out as you.
Yes, and head coach of the Dolphins, Coach Tony, basically came out last NFL training camp and said, I don't want anyone using Twitter. There's too many things that could go wrong. I don't even really know how to text yet, much less use Twitter, but it just doesn't sound like a good idea. So different teams have different strokes. The New York Giants don't really have those rules. Mark Sanchez from the Jets Twitter's, or at least there's postings all the time, supposedly on Twitter, about what he's up to. So different teams have different strokes, but I do think it's very important to really consider what are the risks this could have on the players for distracting them or having kind of identity theft.
Yeah, for that distraction, I've started to jump in, but you mentioned right off the top, and I wanted to respond, getting back. So the NFL is having bans, twittering an hour before
it's
and
smart.
an hour. But they're having to ban twittering during the game? Athletes are actually twittering during the game?
Clubhouse, break, halftime.
I mean, that's insanity.
It's insanity.
Yes.
Right, we're joined by the segment is called The Psychology of Sports with Dr. Leah Lagos. We're talking about the twittering and the risks involved. I'll give you two examples. One of them, Kerry Rhodes of the New York Jets is a free safety, and he was benched by the coach. He tweeted about his benching that he wasn't happy, and that, of course, caused more problems. Then on the other side, Larry Fitzgerald is probably, if not the best receiver in football for the Cardinals, one of the best. His brother tweeted that he was upset. The brother was upset that Kurt Warner wasn't throwing him the ball enough. And, of course, what that does is put Larry Fitzgerald in a difficult position because everybody found out that Larry Fitzgerald's brother was complaining that Larry Fitzgerald wasn't getting the ball thrown at him.
This is like a soap opera.
And that's what happens.
Yes, and more of this, on a more frequent level, can lead to team distrust and problems amongst the team.
All right, Leah, let me ask you this, because I'm sort of a solution-driven person, and as a sports psychologist, my question is, what is the answer to this? Because you can understand how people would want positive reinforcement, the same reason that a lot of people are on Facebook, and they post things because they want friends and old friends to get on and say, oh, I'm really sorry you're having a tough time. What is the answer to this? Because these guys are isolated. How do they vent all these things and feel like they're not so socially isolated?
Well, I think that each team has different thresholds for responding. You look at the Saints this year, and they didn't house them in the hotel that was really banned from the public, and the reason was the coach felt that these guys had been through lots of tough times, challenges, and distractions weren't going to be an issue for them. And I guess he's right, but for other teams, it has been a notable distraction to be in places where family and friends could reach them. So, likewise, I think with Twitter, a coach needs to assess team's needs, their strengths, and how this could potentially be a risk for the team or not. I think it's very individual based upon what keeps the players occupied, who they are, what their needs are, and make some clear rules about what is going to be appropriate for the team, when to use it, what's appropriate to post, and what isn't, so that it's not so ambivalent.
Yeah,
very good point.
And you can't keep an eye on these guys
24/7. You can't.
Guys go out to bars and they get themselves into. They got to be smart and they got to be responsible for themselves and accountable for themselves. And that's why I said the Twitter stuff is. Yeah, I know these guys are idiots and they're not thinking sometimes. But I think a lot of times when they're left alone at night, they maybe went out with a few of their teammates, had a few drinks. They get on the Twitter and they start doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing.
I say pick up the phone and call a loved one and stop all this sending this stuff into cyberspace or whatever. Sending it out there for all the world to see. So,
is there an answer to this, Leah, or it's just this is what it is, and there's just got to be some guidelines set up as the NFL has set some guidelines up, and of course the coaches and the management of the specific teams?
Yeah, I really feel that they need to, now that they have some general guidelines about it can't be used during competition, which I think is a general guideline that should be used for every team. It's not great to be distracted from your performance or to be thinking too much during your performance. Could you imagine Super Bowl Drew Brees is thinking, mentally writing what he's going to say on Twitter? No. We don't want the football players thinking. We want them just playing.
We're talking about
but on an individual, case-by-case basis, beyond that for each team. Leah,
talking about Twitter, since we're talking about the risks, you do have a Twitter account. You're also on Facebook. You also have a website. Tell us about that.
I do. Thank you. I'm Dr. Leah Lagos on Twitter. I have a website, www.drleahlagos.com. I also am on YouTube, YouTube/Dr. Leah Lagos.
All right.
Great.
We will talk to you next Wednesday at 3:25. You'll email me the topic.
I look forward to it.
Us too, Leah. Thank you.
Thanks, Leah. Stay warm up there. Be careful.
Be careful.
Thank you.
Stay in the hotel. And don't Twitter anything that will get yourself in trouble.